Your mindset is a set of beliefs which shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. It has a tendency to influence how you think, feel, and behave in any given situation. It translates into meaning. What you believe in yourself will affect either your success or failure. And in reference to today's modern athletes and their thinking, that, my friends, is certainly the case. Research suggests that a significant and growing number of athletes use movement and breath techniques along with meditation as a significant aid to elevate their performance, no matter the sport, according to my friends at the National Institute of Health. Their research found that at least 96% of all professional athletes use and have knowledge of at least one mental technique, and a significant portion use them before competitions as a form of regeneration after injuries. Furthermore, a report from the New York Times highlights the growing recognition of the benefits of deep breathing for athletes, suggesting that it's not only becoming a niche, but entering into the mainstream. And for my friend Jure Koscak, he's used these techniques to help athletes and his other clients reach the fullest heights of their own potential by making sure that their alignment and performance are synced up to the highest level that they can be. Koscak was a professional table tennis player for 15 years. During his career, he did an extensive amount of research on sports psychology, and in the last 15 years, he's even gained a PhD in physical education and has transitioned into being a mental health coach for high performance. He's worked with over 50 athletes on the professional level from a variety of different sports and more than 1,000 private clients. Koscak also holds the distinction of being fluent in several languages, including Slovenian, English, French, German, Spanish, and Serbian-Croatian. He's constantly thinking about how to contribute to the positive advancement of life, allowing athletes and others to strive and thrive, to maximize all they want to get out of life in every aspect. And Koscak joined me this week to tell me more. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Jure, if you're ready, my friend, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program. And I'm super excited to learn about how you help the mental performative athletes and a little bit about your own personal journey as well. Great to see you this afternoon. And thank you so very much for being here, my friend.
Yes, let's go.
Absolutely. So, my friend, I know that you spent more than 15 years as a professional table tennis player, and you've earned a PhD in physical education and the psychology of people and athletes sort of inspires you to do the work that you do today, my friend. So I'm wondering if we can start our conversation by you telling me about your work and what makes you so fabulous, my friend.
Well, life. I was born and I was competitive, ambitious, and you need to learn along the way on the journey different things on how to improve your performance, improve results, because I didn't want to lose. I hated losing and I wanted to win all the time, and I was especially a non-educated, unconscious perfectionist. So I needed to learn a lot about myself. And yes, I was playing professionally 15 years, but I was training 20 years altogether, table tennis. And I was interested in sport. That's where I found myself. And I am an interdisciplinary person. I don't like to be confined by anything or anyone or any method. So I connect the dots, connect people, connect the feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. And my friend, tell me, what do you think is the number one thing you've learned about or continue to learn about the psychology of athletes and how they respond to certain situations, both competitive and in their own life, my friend? What do you think is the number one thing that fascinates you about working with the athletes and other clients you work with, my friend?
My brand is called Genuine Athlete because I believe and I see and I think that we are all athletes, especially moms that need to be vigilant 24/7. They don't have a break like athletes do that can take a vacation or go play PlayStation. So I admire mothers a lot. And yeah, I'm just admiring life. I'm always keen to understand what life is about, not just or even philosophically, but on the level of why do I have a body? How can I use it? Not just to reach a certain capacity or achieve a result in any sport, but what is the main purpose of us living? We all have different individual aspirations and purposes, so I'm combining and connecting these worlds and taking whoever I work with, whether they are athletes or moms or dads, there are less of them, but also sometimes to really take them out of being confined and lost and confused while they have all and even more than what it takes, while they are capable. So my main message is, and my main intention is to activate the hidden potential, connect the dots, and that people can realize that they are alive, because athletes suffer. I have been suffering. I have created suffering because I didn't know better, because I didn't understand more. I didn't understand better. And this is where I come in, that not that I take away suffering for anyone, because we need to go through a tunnel, through some pressure and adversity in life in order to understand it more, to be empathical, but to understand yourself, to go through this tunnel or hell or what it is on a more efficient level and way, in a more efficient way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm also wondering your opinion on what is the key to achieving optimal mental, the optimal mental mindset to make sure that you're in the right frame of mind to perform at your best. So, what do you think it takes to perform at the optimal mental mindset, my friend?
Oh, that's mastery, Kevin. That it takes a lot to become a master. It takes every day to be resilient, to build your endurance, your confidence, esteem, mentality, physicality, emotional wise, and everything. It takes a lot. It's a big puzzle. It's a puzzle of almost infinite pieces. Sometimes you get to that optimal level to perform like many athletes they do, but only sometimes. And it's not all the time. I just saw a meme or a quote today. Life is a near-death experience all the time. Actually, the same is sport. You're a near winning experience because not everyone wins all the time. If there are some winners that win all the time, even they are not winning, but they are winning most of the time. Otherwise, the rest of the athletes, we have a near winning experience. So you need to learn how to walk with defeats, with losing, with challenges, mental and emotional and pressure. So being optimal, it takes a lot. It takes to understand the reality, and that's what I see, that I come in with my vast experience, that I've, a lot of times my colleagues and my coaches told me, you complicate too much, you think too much. But actually being weird and thinking too much has made me who I am now, and I understand a lot more in depth certain things that others would want to, but they cannot tap into because it takes years. So patience can bring you to an optimal level of being in the zone kind of performance, and then you repeat again, that it comes again, if it comes.
Yeah, and my friend, I'm wondering your thoughts on the whole idea of mental performance and how it's intertwined or interconnected to emotional intelligence and over the years, because I think in order to have a mental sort of optimal level, it also has to be intertwined somewhat within your emotional intelligence. Would you agree with that?
Of course, we are a human being connected out of many different aspects, bodies, levels, layers, and I see in athletes in sport that it's too much division in do just this, while you are also a human being that feels, that resonates, that understands, that needs to express. And athletes a lot of times, they think that tough and suppressing, it means it's the same, but being tough and suppress emotions, it only makes you weak. Because if you are tense all the time, and in order to suppress, to push down, in order to not express, in order to not explode in the right way, efficient, not exploding, but expressing way, you need to use a lot of energy. And when you're tense and contracted, you cannot tap into flow. You cannot tap into the zone. Being mentally tough is one thing, but being emotionally resilient and mature is a completely other playground and play field. So you really need to combine all of these aspects, and like I answered before, it's a big puzzle, a lot of factors, a lot of patience, endurance, resilience is required to understand all these different parts and factors, how they are intertwined. And sometimes one is more jumping out, sometimes the other, but the main thing is we have a physical body that feels, and the physical body observes and has feelings and emotions and constructs, creates them. And if you don't use it for your advantage, they will take it, they will be at your disadvantage. I think Muhammad Ali said that train and be mentally resilient and control your emotions, or Bruce Lee or some other big name mentioned that otherwise, if you do not train to be emotionally strong, your emotions will be stronger than you. And that's what's happening to many mentally tough athletes, but they are emotionally very weak inner child in a way. We need to grow our inner child. It needs to mature. And for that, you need guidance, training, understanding, a lot of journaling, a lot of observing, a lot of time and energy.
Yeah, and building on what you just said, Jure, I'm also curious to ask you about the power of self-reflection and meditation and finding what I call your inner center as an athlete, because I'm also thinking that you think it's important for athletes to be grounded in their own emotional or mental principles in order to be successful. So I'm curious to ask you about the power of self-reflection, and how important do you think that is for athletes, my friend?
It's important that you have a team or a family or environment that supports you. Mm-hmm. Being alone, anyway, even if you're not an athlete, being alone, it's too much to handle. It's a lot of burden for a human body to handle. Anyway, we come from somewhere, from some families, and we are already overwhelmed. And then on top of that, you put a lot of stress, physical training, mental toughness, mental training, pressure, emotional buildup, stress. You cannot handle it by yourself. So it's important that you have an environment that supports you, that gives you this outlet, where you can share and express yourself without being judged, without being opinionated, that people can just observe and listen. It's not necessarily a therapist. It can be your grandma. It can be a young baby that you talk to. It can be a priest. It can be your friend, but not throwing out the trash in that sense, not vomiting your emotions, but also getting certain feedback. Maybe also with the use of AI, artificial intelligence, maybe ChatGPT or many others that are developing, that you can share your thoughts, your journaling observations into the AI, and AI can give you a consistent, structured answer. But do not trust it 100%. Take it with a big touch of understanding that AI is artificial intelligence, has no empathy, doesn't care for you, and will not put you on alarm, wake up, you need to do this, that, with care. It's just response. So keep that in mind. But it can give you a certain structural answer, and you can input your journaling and see the red line, and AI will recognize certain patterns easier than some therapist or your mom or your friend, because they also have a hidden agenda sometimes. We are people, we are human beings. We are not always authentic, and that's normal. So in that sense, retrospecting, journaling, observing, you can talk. You have a lot of applications now that you can talk, and it's transcribing your thoughts. You don't even need to write. You don't even need to write anymore with your hand, although I suggest that you write with your hand. It's important, hand-eye, brain, left, right brain hemisphere coordination. So all of that, it's small little parts. Being a master, it means that you're doing something small, but you're doing it consistently, and consistently just a bit every day better, or the same, that it's not worse. And if it's worse, that you improve and correct. That's what learning is. And you can learn if you measure, if you observe, if you take notes, then you can get back that feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jure, I also know that you're fluent in several different languages, including Slovenian, English, Spanish, and German, my friend. So tell me about how being bilingual helps you to relate with a wide swath of different types of athletes, my friend. What sort of competitive advantage does that offer you?
Well, everyone wants to be heard, seen, and understood. So if I approach a person in their language, their native language, with my vast experience and knowledge and wisdom that I've gained, they feel seen, heard, and understood. It's not even about communication. It's about connection. It's about emotional access. It's about how I can see these athletes beyond their roles, how they can also understand me, and I can adapt to their level, to their culture, because every country, every language has its own rules, own culture that has been developing for centuries, even millennials. And in every culture, every language, there are hidden signs, hidden attributions, hidden attributes, hidden signs, hidden meanings. And if I speak that kind of language, I can tap into that, and they can recognize me. They can open to me more, to themselves actually, not to me, because if they trust me, they trust themselves. So that's where I give back and give back, and they can get back that better feedback and connection for me.
Yeah, and I want to bring up something that you brought up earlier. You talked about building relationships, and I wanted to build on that because you're also on a mission to help athletes and your other clients improve their emotional maturity. And I'm curious, what do you think is the connection between building strong relationships and improving emotional maturity? What are your thoughts there?
There was or still is an ongoing Harvard, I think it's Harvard University study that's been going on or has been going on since ages. It's been going on for 85 years. And they have determined that the quality of life, you can Google it, Harvard study regarding quality of life or relationships. And they confirmed that the quality of relationships determines the quality of life. Not material stuff, not education, but the quality of relationships. So, and relationships are communication, and communication is understanding yourself, how you communicate in yourself, how you communicate with your body, with your brain, because we live in a society that only emphasizes the brain, the intelligence, the willpower, but the body always wins. So you need to listen to the body, understand the signs of the body, the messaging, the language of the body. And if you're in a good relationship with yourself, that you don't overwhelm or burn out or exhaust yourself, that you can handle and manage your emotions, and in relationship you can freely and empathically and consciously and awareness like express yourself. That's a win-win for whole humanity. And when you are living like that, and when you are expressing your emotions in trust and in confidence, and that you are not afraid that somebody might hurt you, or that you put yourself in a vulnerable situation because someone might take advantage and abuse your trust, that's the meaning of living in a relationship. But the first initial fundamental relationship is with yourself, like I'm sure you are aware, Kevin, that you worked on yourself, and that's why you're producing all of these episodes, because you understand what's behind the success. It's a lot of inner deep work. It's a lot of understanding of knowing yourself. That's also why Greeks have written on ancient Greek stones, know thyself. Because if you don't know yourself, then somebody might take advantage of your weak spots. And when you know yourself, you set boundaries for yourself and with yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you develop better relationships in your community, in your sport, in your business, or wherever you're active.
Yeah, and Jure, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this McLaren Hospital study that revealed more than 60% of athletes report experiencing stress, which negatively sort of impacts their performance. And additionally, they also emphasize things like self-discipline and psychological, attributes such as self-discipline and mental toughness, which also athletes view as essential as a part of their own level of success. So I'm curious to ask you if you think the 60% number of people that view sort of their mental performance tied to their physical performance is high, and what are your thoughts on those findings, my friend?
I think they are correct, but I would even go more south or north or wherever, however, because I think that 90% of athletes are suffering, are having this discord between mental and physical disconnection. Athletes are still goal-driven, are still mentally, physically tough, and they do not even understand what it means that the body wins in the end. And we can see that in many, very sadly, suicides or accidents and devastating injuries, career-ending injuries. This is what happens when athletes are in complete disconnection with themselves, because athletes still understand and think that they need to win, they need to do everything in order to win. They see their worth in their level of results. They confuse suppression with being tough, and that's not even the case. And self-discipline, athletes are very disciplined, but they are not self-aware. And that's why they suffer, and that's why, because they are really good, they are masters, they are professionals, and yet they feel exhausted, they feel confused, they feel empty, they feel the void, because they are not self-aware. They don't take time to rest, to flow, to be intuitive, to have that inner resilience, to understand what battle is. They start to become aware after they end their career. Then they begin to connect the dots, but in between the career they don't give time for that, because they think it's a waste of time, and actually that's what brings them more of results, better results, and more of life. Athletes generally just run through life, they don't enjoy, they are just focused on results and on optimum output, performance, and training, and yet a lot of things are important, and yeah, these findings will be more and more essential and crucial for athletes to start becoming aware of what they really need to work on and how they really need to work on themselves to prevent injuries, to prevent defeats that are not necessary, to prevent suffering, and just have what is necessary to be efficient. Because if you train and then you play and then you win, and then you cannot compete for the next 6 months because in that win, in that match, in that game, you've injured yourself, that's not efficient. Being endurable, having a long-standing efficiency, career performance is important. Not just I won, but I cannot walk now for the next 3 weeks. Or I'm done, I'm sick of this sport, I've trained, now I need a hiatus, or I need a sabbatical to not compete for a year. That's not efficient. It's too much up and down, too much extremes. So that's what I'm working on, and that's my intention to teach, to balance, to put into balance life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, based on your last answer, I'm curious to ask you about how you define the concept of, enjoying the journey along the way, because as you mentioned, so many athletes today are consumed with their on the field or on their field or court performance. But I'm curious to get your thoughts on the importance of enjoying the journey along the way and sort of stopping to smell the roses. How important do you think that is, my friend?
I think we can see in all athletes that are having an amazing careers, that are having amazing results, and that are not injured as often or even. These athletes all emphasize, I went into the final and I just wanted to enjoy. The one who wins because it's not occupied with the result. Of course they have a goal, but they are focused in that moment on enjoying, and that's a difficult mastery to achieve. But it's the most fundamental one, alongside communication of the body-brain, of course, like I mentioned before, and then emotions. And enjoying doesn't mean that you play well, that you're always good, that you have amazing points or moves or strokes or touches all the time. Enjoying means that you are present, that you also enjoy the toughness of the game, of the match, that you enjoy the inner battle that's happening in your body, in your brain, that you learn and that you know how to handle and use the tools of breathing, of calming down. And enjoying is actually the necessity and essential, because if you're not enjoying, you're tense. When you're tense, you cannot feel, you cannot move as agile and vivid and vital. And when you are tense and contracted, you cannot notice shifts and feelings and what's happening on the court, on the pitch, on whatever you're competing. And when you are contracted, you consume way too much energy unnecessarily, and this is how you are trapped in nonsense. And this is how, if you cannot notice, you cannot feel, you cannot change, and you're held in a vicious cycle. And then you're, after the match that you lose, and even if you win, you're like, I didn't feel it, I need to train more. And then you train more until you burn yourself out, you injure yourself, and these patterns and these roles repeat on repeat cycle. And this is why it's important to be relaxed, not relaxed with a pina colada under a palm tree, but relaxed under pressure. Because when you're relaxed, you flow, you're not contracted, and when you're relaxed, your muscles can react, respond, move freely, move intuitively. Something is playing through you. You are being just the intermediary of something higher, bigger, stronger than you, and then you perform it, and others can enjoy in your performance. And we've had many athletes throughout history in different sports that we've really enjoyed, and they bring this to the table. And with some athletes, we're like, oh my God, we're suffering with them. And nobody wants to see that. We want to see someone who really masters themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Jure, I'm also curious. We talked a lot about emotional intelligence, but I'm also curious to ask you about managing emotions. You know, as athletes and as people, life doesn't always go the way that we want it to go. And I'm curious about how do we manage smartly our emotions, you know, with the changing sort of trajectory of life, because everything isn't going to go the way we want it all the time. So how do you think we smartly manage emotional and human emotions? What are your thoughts there?
I love this question, actually all of them, but this one hits the spot, because a lot of athletes are like, how can I manage, and what does it mean? Will it bring me results if I manage my emotions? What kind of importance does it have? So yeah, this is, just notice how you breathe. If you breathe through your nose, if your heart starts racing, if you get tight in your jaw, neck, shoulders, or your spine or your pelvis, and all of these signs, physical signs, show that you're not handling. And if you're not handling emotions, then you're just lost, like I said before, in this vicious cycle. So this is the road towards the optimum version, when you become emotionally resilient and managing your emotions. And you can manage when you have energy available, and you have energy available when your muscles are relaxed or contracted only the necessary amount and dosage. If you are contracted too much, you will not have the energy available to use to manage emotions. And one more thing, if you are contracted and tense and under pressure and stress, you cannot even relax and recover, because our body needs units of energy inside our muscles, tissues, cells, and body in order to recover. So if you want to sleep well, you cannot be exhausted. If you're exhausted, burned out, and really tired, you first need a couple of hours or days or weeks of sleeping to get to the level of 0, from which on then you begin to recover. So you need to have energy available for recovery and energy available some amount to be emotionally aware, resilient, and strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, Jure, I know you're on a mission to always contribute to athletes and others so that they can strive to be the very best version of themselves, both inside and outside of the sports or the competitive arena. So I'm curious, how do you think we can better celebrate the wins of accomplishments, and what do you think it means to be really invested invested in the success of athletes, and how do you hope to contribute moving forward, my friend? What are your thoughts there?
Wow, it's a broad question, because we are more and more saluting and applauding to athletes that devastate their bodies, devastate their lives. We are more and more elevating people and putting them on of course, media benchmark and positions that they can be applauded and their achievements presented as if this is the pinnacle of life, while they are losing their body, they're abusing themselves, their coaches, trainers are not behaving well, they are not modeling emotional literacy. They are not understanding breathing, their coaches, and then athletes are just destroyed. They are under contracts in business world. They are under the pressure of sponsors. They need to achieve big results, and that's a stage that a lot of bad things happen. Injuries, like I mentioned, sadly, suicides, unimaginable burden and pressure that's overwhelming these people. People that are too much. And this is a main task to balance this. But if you want to be a high level performance athlete, of course you cannot have a balanced life. You need to be obsessed in some way, but at least in that way that it's not harmful to you or to any others around you. Because we've seen how when athletes cannot handle themselves, they project their lack of something, of air, of energy, lack of energy onto their peers or onto their families, and then a lot of people are suffering because of some medals or because of some goals and results that are necessary to survive. And that's not life that we are born for. We are born for yes, capacity activation, potential activation, learning, mastering, bettering ourselves, improving ourselves. That's what we are born for, and to put the tools into life and model to be someone, not just talk about it, but to live it. And to do those micro practices, that's crucial, to be honest and to be calm under pressure, and to have a post-failure, of course, reflection and everything. So you're celebrating not someone who's abusing and achieving and is a winner. We need to be winners in kindness. We need to be winners in fair play. We need to start saluting those, not that win against every odd or a win against in a nasty bad way, but the winners that compete in a healthy way, that stay healthy, that can compete the next week again because they balance themselves and they are efficient in their moving and breathing and nervous system balancing and regulating. That's what we need to salute. People that promote healthy practices, people that promote healthy winning, not just winning at any price or over dead bodies, over themselves. So that's what I'm rooting for and working for.
Yeah, just building on that point quickly, I'm also curious to ask you about how do you think we can get athletes to evaluate sort of their emotional equity as much as we get them to value their physical performance. What are your thoughts there?
Kevin, you are touching the main core points and triggers of many people, not just athletes. And it's connected with the previous answer or question that you gave me regarding who are we saluting or promoting. The same goes with rest, with emotional literacy, with emotional understanding and maturity, because there's too much of talking and doing and being in the sense of this is not important, this is too deep, this will only hurt your performance, we don't talk about emotions, and I'm not here for wokeism, to be awake and woke and say about different genders or something and we must honor your feelings. No, not about it. Being a human being, being having a common sense and understanding that rest and emotional expressions and emotional patterns and emotional nervous system regulation is the basis of a human being. Not just competing and putting out the noise and saying that everything is the noise, while you're on social media and not resting, because a lot of athletes do not know how to rest. Many athletes do not know why they are even competing. Many athletes are fueled by hate in themselves, and they are not clear. Many athletes are like, I don't know why I'm just doing it, or are already, lost in contracts and different agreements that they cannot go out of, and they just, they abuse themselves. So this is an important emotional equity and equality that's necessary to be elevated in sport and in general in life.
Yeah, so Jure, I'm also finally curious to ask you about, if I put you in front of a room of athletes and I asked you, what are your top 3 ways that you think are most effective when it comes to sort of motivating the modern athlete of today? What 3 points of difference would you give to those athletes, my friend?
The whole world in general is going towards too much. More. So the first one is less is more. That's maybe already a cliche, but to put it into practice, it takes a lot of courage. For an athlete to say to a coach, today I'm doing less, or for an athlete to allow himself, today I'm doing less. Today I'm gonna do less in the gym, less on the pitch. Just a little bit less, because anyway we're doing too much. Anyway we're competing too much. And then this less is more flows into breathing. Conscious nose, nasal, diaphragm breathing. That's the second one, connected with less is more, because we need to breathe less. Athletes just run, they do, and then they're out of air and they're like grasping for air, which is more again. Breathe less, even if you're out of air, breathe less and through your nose. Regulate yourself. And the third one, let me have a second to think about. Different factors, from magnesium, for instance, from sleep, from resting. Nervous system regulation. So less is more. The second, nasal breathing with diaphragm, and the third one, resting. I could say these are the main essential things that if and when they are implemented in the right way, in the right amount, at the right time, you can not just expect miracles, you can live them, and you can have a completely shift a life of normal life or being an athlete. Less is more, nasal breathing with diaphragm, and resting. How to have them the right amount, the right time, in the right way? Well, do less and you will feel it. Breathe different. If you do just one of these 3, you will tap into the other 2 and you will have 3 covered. You will tap into how much, when, how. So just one of them. Just rest. Just breathe. Just do less, and you will feel that and notice that change.
Absolutely. And finally, Jure, tell me, I'm curious, my friend, when you look at your own life and legacy, how do you want that to be defined, my friend?
A while ago, I had an interesting conversation with a coach, with a mentor, and he asked me, what do you want, Jure? And that's a question for everyone. What do you want that it would say on your tombstone? I don't know who said it, that on the tombstone, on our grave, we have the year of birth and the year of when we die, pass away, and in between there's a line, and that line represents our lifetime. So I for sure would want that on my tombstone or my legacy, that line was meant for something. I don't want it even to have years on my tombstone. I want my grave to be a tree that someone can hug, that out of my ashes a tree can grow, and that my life had a meaning, and that's what I'm here for, that I can be remembered as someone who helped others to feel more and move more fully and do less and be more and be less in certain things, and that's what I'm learning, what I'm going also through different adversities of my own challenges in life, and that I can be then empathical with others. Because if I go through hell, I can understand when others and how others are going through that tunnel. And I can take their hand not as a savior, as someone who can guide and teach others. So I want my tree of life to be of growth, of resilience, of teaching, of wisdom. That's what I stand for and what I live for.
Very well. And my friend, finally, tell me if people want to get connected with you. What's the best way they can do that?
My page, thegenuineathlete.com or genuine _athlete.jk, genuine athlete by JK. So that those are my initials. In any way, they can Google me, find me on TikTok or any social media, Instagram, genuine athlete, JK, something like that. And then we connect and vibe from there on.
Fantastic. Well, Jure, I think you're doing great work in the field of mental performance and mental intelligence and emotional well-being, my friend, for athletes and for professionals of all stripes, my friend. It was certainly a well-rounded and thought-provoking conversation, and I want to thank you for being here to engage in conversation and answering my questions. It's most appreciated, my friend.
It's on my side, the appreciation and gratitude towards to you, Kevin. Thank you very much for your space that you shared, and keep up doing the good work. And remember, less is more. Breathe and rest. Thank you, Kevin.